Hey y'all, it's Jeep project morning. On my list of things I can finally get around to take care of, and this is something I've been meaning to do for the longest time, and I don't think about it till it's dark outside and I'm having to run the headlights. So we're going to upgrade the headlights. Actually, I say upgrade the headlight system. These are pretty much a direct replacement for these. These have started condensating real bad and getting spots on the inside. So this will take care of that, but it's not going to take care of the brightness issue. And how we're going to solve that is a simple little project using relays. We let relays handle the load to the lights, and it's going to give us more voltage to the light that lets the light be brighter. It's as simple as that. The design on Jeeps and many older vehicles, all the voltage goes through the switch. And when it goes through the switch, the voltage drops. There's a lot more resistance in the line. So if we let a relay handle the load for us, all of the voltage goes to the light. I'll show you what I mean. Let's get started. Okay, let's try a quick explanation of what we're doing. Here's our headlight harness coming into the headlights. And I can just tell you from my wiring diagrams, I know that the wires that I'm looking for are gray wire and a gray wire with a black stripe. Gray wire with a black stripe is the high beams. That's right here. And our other gray wire right here, that's for the low beams. So these are the two wires we would be concerned with in adding our relay to the loop. Basically what you do is we're going to have two relays. One is going to replace the high beam side, and one is going to, replace the low beam side. The other will replace the high beam side. Here's the thought process. You cut the wire from, this goes from the switch, from the light switch. You're going to cut the wire, and what you're going to do is place the signal from the switch, which would be our 86 pin on the relay. And I'll show you, just pull this plug off. There's our 86 pin. We would use a corresponding wire on here to the 86 pin. Then we're going to have the other side going to the headlights from the switch on our 85 pin. The power is going to be supplied from the 30 pin, and 87 will now send the power itself to the lights. I know it looks confusing, but it really is simple. What we're doing is all we're doing is having the switch make contact between these two pins. It closes things off, allows the power from the battery to go straight to the lights. So we're bypassing the switch inside. The switch still controls the lights. It just doesn't supply the power to the lights. We're using the switch to control the lights, but not the power going to it. Now our relay will do that. So the thought process again is you cut the wires, put them between these two, and let it control it. In the process of buying my plugs and the relays, I came across something that is not going to involve cutting any wires. We're going to use a pre-built harness. Okay, hold on. After doing the video and looking at the bits and pieces, I noticed that you couldn't see anything in the original video on the back of the relay, which helps describe what I was talking about. I was talking about pin 86, 85, 87, and 30, and in the video, everything is so washed out, you can't see it. So I wanted you to look at the back of the relay. And again, how to think about this, if you were to cut wires and make one of these work for you rather than getting a pre-assembled harness, 86 would be the wire that would come from the light switch And then the other side of that wire would be here on 85, going to the lamps as is originally made. 87 is your new headlight switch. That turns on the lights, and 30 is the battery. So what happens when you pull your light switch, these two connect. And when they connect, the power from the battery is allowed to go through pin 87, and that turns your lights on. Just wanted you to be able to see what I was rambling on about with an overexposed bit of footage. All right, here's our wiring harness with one modification. And you may find one that has a longer power lead to it, but when I got it, my power lead was this long to connect to the battery. So what I've done is I'll come in here and took the pin out and made me a longer lead to go to the battery, just so as not to splice onto this. Because the trouble with Jeeps, battery's way over here, all the power supply is on this side. Where we're going to be plugging into the lights is right here. So we need longer power lead. Ideally, you want this to be as short as possible, but for this application, that's just what we have to deal with. So, show you how this works. This plug will plug into the existing harness, and then this will plug in to this headlight, and you'll ground it here. Then you'll run it through, and you'll plug this into the existing headlight. No cutting. I was going to make one of these, and by the time I bought all the parts to do this, it was going to cost me more money than I paid for this with the relays and everything. I believe I paid $25 for this. And it's 14 gauge wire, and that's about as small as you want to use if you're going to do all this wiring yourself. 14 is about as small as you want to use. The relays, honestly, I don't know how good these are, but if they go bad, I've got a box of them. I can just unplug and plug another 4-pin relay in here to take care of things. So let's get things off and show you how simple this is. Oh, and remember, this is not just for Jeep, this is for any older model vehicle that has the same kind of lighting system where they just seem dim. You could use the same process. Of course, your vehicles may vary, but the process is pretty simple on the Jeep. There's one screw in the bottom here, and you remove it. There you go. Just comes right off. Then you don't need to take the adjustment off. You'll see there's little tabs that have a larger hole to this side. All we're going to do, there's 3 of them. You want to loosen those up. One there, one there, and one on the bottom. That just allows you to rotate the lamp housing while keeping your adjustments. And there you go. That's all there is to it. Then you just unplug your bulb. We will not be using this plug, remember, we'll be using our other one. And while we're doing this, I had somebody that wanted to make a cameo. I can't get him to leave me alone. See you later, buddy. Come on now. We got work to do. Okay, before I start taking things apart, and now I'm on the passenger side, and it doesn't want to focus on it because it's down in there. But if you can see that screw right there, we come around, it's this bolt. That is where your headlights are grounded. and there's one on the driver's side as well, and it's even more difficult to get to. There is a bezel around it here. You could take it off and have a little easier access. But if you want to ground your headlights in the same location, take these off and run your ground wires through your harness here. Otherwise, pick a spot that's convenient and just put you a ground screw or bolt in. Because Jeeps are notorious for ground problems. So the more ground, the better the ground, the better it is. Okay, this would apply to the passenger side and the driver's side. We're on the driver's side now. If you're bound and determined to use the ground screw that is already on the Jeep, so you're not doing any extra holes or splicing and so on and so forth, the surefire way, without going through a lot of headaches and extra trouble, take 1, 2, 3, 4. Remove those 4 sheet metal screws and the whole bucket will come out, and you'll see it right back in there. It should have pretty easy access. So you can see by removing the attachment bucket from the front, it gives us full access to everything. It's even going to make it a whole lot easier for us to run our wiring harness to the other side. So that might just be a way to go if things are pretty easy to take off. It took me 30 seconds to take that off. No fuss, no muss, and we got a lot of room to work. So you can see if you go with removing the whole headlight assembly, which literally both sides took me a minute to do, it's a piece of cake. You have full access to everything, and this is what I would recommend you do. Now let's install our new harness. Okay, with our new harness, we've got our relays on our fuse, and where I'm going to mount mine, see where it enters the cavity here. There's a hole big enough to run the rest of this stuff through here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mount my relays right here near the horn, and I'll mount the fuse there with it. Then we just need to pull the rest of these wires through here and just follow the same path as the original harness. So I'm going to start with the furthest one. Then I'll get the new plug. And we'll just call this our bridge plug, because this is what we'll be plugging into our existing system so we don't have to trim anything. Get that ground wire in there. And like I said, remember I extended my power wire, so now I have to commit to a length. I've got to cut it off because I can't run this whole roll through here. I still left it on the roll. So I'll cut it longer than I need, and then we'll finish this up. And remember, when you're tightening your grounds back up, if you will use the nut to do the tightening and hold the head of the screw, you won't spin your wires in all different directions. Okay, we're ready to plug that one up after we get this run through here. I think we're just gonna come through. I'm gonna come through this lower channel down in here. And if I so choose, I can run me some little conduit, make it all nice and pretty going back to the back to here. But now we're through there, and we can button this up, get the other side. All right, I really kind of misspoke a while ago about just start buttoning things up. What we really need to do is go ahead and mount our relays where they're going to be, so we know how much extra wire we're going to have. That way, while everything is open, we can get everything attached and secured without any problems. So I'm just going to get a couple of self-tapping screws to hold these into place. Okay, later on, I'm probably going to be changing these out for little bolts. But for the time being, so I know how much I have, this is perfect. Then we will secure this to it as well. Now we're going to start running our securing our harness underneath this, and then we'll button it up. To tidy everything up, I used everybody's favorite zip ties, and what I did is I attached it to the existing harness that goes across here and kept it up and brought it to the other side, and then I bundled the extra over there. Now this is our plug from our new harness, and we plug it into our existing harness. There we go. Now we've just got two of these to plug in our bulbs. Now we're going to button everything back up. So now we're going to hook this thing up to the battery power. Put our clip on in. Remember, we had to, this one does not want to come off. There we go. Remember, it did not want to, or it was, the original was not long enough for us to reach over here. By the way, if y'all do any of this stuff regularly, get yourself one of these. It's just so much easier to crimp this stuff with. Now we need to heat shrink this, and then we'll attach it. Another thing I'd recommend, if you do a lot of this type of work, is get you one of these little gas-powered soldering irons, torches. Just turns your gas on, got your flame, or you can put a tip on for soldering. Now we will carefully, without touching anything we shouldn't, disconnect our battery and put our new light switch on. Remember, you should disconnect your battery first when you do this, so you don't meet Mr. Sparky. I'm just trying to be real careful and not ground this wrench out. Okay. Time to check it out. All right, there it is. I realize it's kind of anticlimactic since it's daylight outside and it's hard to see these, but they're working. Now, what we've done is we've given the opportunity for the bulbs to get more voltage like they should, get the full 12.4 volts, and in turn they will be brighter on their own. What you've also done is set yourself up for the opportunity to upgrade to a different bulb, to go on to LEDs or something like that, because you've changed the harness out and you're having the power that they need to work. So I hope y'all found this useful. I'm going to find it useful this evening. And thanks for stopping by. I do appreciate y'all stopping by, and if you would like to subscribe, I would appreciate that too. And as usual, good luck with your projects.